They've gone way up, and it's fortunately a nationwide problem, Mary. According to federal transit officials, assaults against transit workers have spiked 120% in the last decade, with a local transit driver being the latest victim. Bellevue police say the King County Metro bus transit worker who was attacked is 76 years old. They tell us he was training a fellow driver when an agitated passenger boarded his bus. At some point, police say that passenger was asked to leave the bus, and that's when this attack happened. Witnesses say the victim was thrown onto the ground and then hit repeatedly with a stick. That victim went to the hospital with lacerations to his face and arms, while the suspect then took off. This case marking the latest instance of violence involving public transit. In prior cases, passengers told KOMO they felt increasingly worried for their safety.
You see people like this a lot, like in public, and it's hard to know whether they're actually a threat or not.
I think they need to come more police to watch them.
KOMO pulled the numbers to see how often these types of attacks against transit workers are happening. According to data from the Federal Transit Association, 8 King Metro Transit employees were involved in assaults last year. As you see in this graphic, that's equal to the number of cases in the last 3 years combined, with the latest victim a training officer within the Metro transit system. At this time, Bellevue police haven't given us a description of the suspect in today's attack. All this, by the way, comes as the Biden administration has proposed a new rule where public transit organizations would be required to study risk assessments for their employees. That proposal was made only a week ago. In the studio, Ryan Sims, KOMO News.
At this intersection, Marine View Drive Southwest and 46th, you'll see a memorial, flowers, and a bicycle. This is for 66-year-old Steve Hulsman, who was riding in West Seattle last week when he was hit by a vehicle and killed. Seattle police said they were called out here just after 6 p.m. The driver stayed on the scene.
At first, I thought it was a joke, and then I had such an unexpected emotional response. I couldn't breathe for like a minute. I was just stunned.
Steve's friend David Longden told us about the moment when he learned of his friend's death. He later would write this extensive blog post showing the great adventures that Steve had been on. A cycling leader, riding the most challenging routes, and getting a front seat to the best of what the Pacific Northwest had to offer.
He had this sort of fun, he was a character, for sure. And that part of him will be missed as well.
The loss of his friend now bringing up an awareness of safety improvements and the dangers cyclists can face.
Unfortunately, or fortunately, this might be an opportunity for an inflection point in policy making. The problem is that all of the infrastructure is devoted to the way, to getting cars moving around. And it doesn't account for the fact that other types of people use streets and sidewalks. How many ever deaths occur between cars and pedestrians and cars and cyclists? Is it worth it?
While he understands that some roads might not be conducive to big changes like bike lanes, he said something like speed limits or speed bumps and a way to limit distracted driving should be considered. In West Seattle, Paul Rivera, KOMO News.
Yeah, Mary, this case all started when someone called police reporting those teenagers ages 14, 15, 16, and 17 years old were throwing items out of a car. This happened in Seattle's U District last Wednesday. Unfortunately, a neighborhood that's become a hot spot for this type of crime. Caught on camera, a car rams into Cloud's vape shop multiple times in the U District on December 9th. Shop owner Joshua Young says thieves broke into his store, stealing roughly $15,000 worth of merchandise.
I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning and our alarm was going off. I look at my camera and the place is just destroyed. Which is why this image from the December 20th arrest of 4 teenagers caught Young's attention. Seattle police have not connected the stolen items to a smashing grab, but Young says with the recent uptick in this crime, he wouldn't be surprised. It's pretty frustrating that my whole life is just, you work hard to get somewhere in life and then you just become a target, a victim again.
According to police, the 4 teens involved in the December 20th incident were spotted near this intersection. And after a short-foot pursuit, Seattle officers found the boys hiding behind a dumpster just a few streets away. Initially, the teens were booked into the King County Child and Family Justice Center, but KOMO News confirmed with county prosecutors they have since been released.
Whenever we have a case with allegations like this, and we believe that there's probable cause, which we did, we'll go forward and say, Here's why the court needs to consider that. So sometimes those arguments are not successful.
A frustrating outcome for Young, who is now left picking up the pieces and hoping he's not targeted again.
If this keeps happening in Seattle, businesses are going to pull out. Small businesses owners are going to go broke.
And as for why the teens were released, well, prosecutors tell me that the judge deemed there was not enough evidence against them. Details into the evidence collected, however, not released at this time because prosecutors do not have access to documents filed in juvenile court. Live in Seattle, Hannah Knowles, KOMO News.